FM today. Pleasure to be able to speak. I know, perfect setting for it, isn't it? And so you're going to be speaking this evening, aren't you, about your plans, because you've bought some land around here, which was agricultural land. Why, first of all, did you choose to do that?
Well, I've had land down here for a long time, or quite a few years now, which was already forest land. It was Forestry Commission land, and my idea was to try and return it to its natural state, like natural woodland with more broadleaf trees, so we've been gradually doing that over the past few years. This piece of land came up on sale, and it's given over to farming at the moment, but there was a threat that it was going to be built on, it was going to be covered in houses, so I heard the rumour and thought, well, this would be a great opportunity, particularly because it's absolutely adjacent to the piece I had already, and it extends it southwards. So it's an opportunity to make a refuge for wild animals and a corridor which they can move along safely, and also to, I guess, as a kind of pilot, I don't like to use that word now, an experiment to see if management of wildlife can be done in a more humane manner, because that's something I've been interested in for a long time. So for me it's a journey of discovery and education. So the purpose of the meeting this evening is to hear everybody's points of view, and I've already learnt a lot, because I've been down there most of the afternoon talking to a lot of local people, all of whom have a particular point to make. So we're listening and we're seeing if we can fulfil everybody's needs and their dreams as well, because this is a community of people. Their children and their grandchildren will be growing up here, and I would like them to have a wonderful environment to grow up in, where people can coexist with animals in harmony.
What are some of the things that you've been hearing this afternoon? What kind of issues have been raised to you?
All kinds of things, actually. One guy saying, it's going to affect our bees because we had a rapeseed crop here, and will the bees have enough to get the pollen from? And in fact, the answer is yes, because what we'll be planting, a lot of it will be shrubbery, which will be very good for pollen. I had one guy say, well, are you going to use it as a badger sanctuary? Are you going to be bringing badgers in? And I said, no, of course not, because we wouldn't be so irresponsible as to move badgers, particularly if we were moving them from a place where they're healthy into a place where they might be threatened. So that's a bit of a dodgy issue. No, we will be trying to protect the animals here as they are and give them a good environment, and just change the way things are done if we can. I'm very conscious that I have a lot to learn, and that's been going on for a while. For instance, when I first came in, the owners had been culling deer for a long time, and I took advice on it, and they said, look, we think if you stop culling deer right now, they're probably all going to get poached because you won't have the gamekeeper here. So I took advice and I said, okay, we'll gradually phase this out once we put some protection in, which is what we've been doing. So we have no culling on the land now, which pleases me a lot. And people, I have all kinds of reactions from people. Some people say, oh, you should be culling because that's the way it's always been done. And a lot of other people say, well, what's going to happen if you don't cull for a long time? You'll be overrun. So we have to tread a line between these possible tragedies and find our own way. But my basic tenet of belief is that every animal matters. It's not just a question of populations. It's not just a question of economics. Animals matter the same as humans matter, and you should be behaving in a humane manner.
And there is, mentioned it earlier, there is pressure, isn't there, in this area to protect green spaces, because the government wants new builds, new houses being put up. Yet Dorset has so many sites of scientific interest. There's that kind of pressure on the councils to find a medium between it. Yeah,
well, my piece of countryside where I live is in Surrey, and it's quite ironic because this government got in by saying it was going to be the guardians of the countryside, but they're building more and more than anyone ever did before. So all around me it was lovely countryside. It's been covered with concrete and housing of various kinds. So it was a nice feeling for me to be able to stop that happening around here. It's a beautiful village. It's a wonderful place to bring up your kids, Bere Regis and Sitterton. So I'm hoping that I can make a little contribution. I have no other agenda. I don't want to make money out of this. I don't need to make money. It's not going to be run as a commercial concern at all. I just want to produce a place, which perhaps can be a model for future activities elsewhere in the country.
And it's obviously something you feel passionately about. What kind of first attracted you to wanting to do this kind of thing?
Well, it's been in my mind for a long time, I suppose. When you're a kid, you look out and get certain feelings about things. I remember the moment when I was eating my lamb for Sunday dinner, and I said to my mum, "Well, this obviously isn't the same kind of lamb as you see jumping around in the fields, those nice white fluffy things." And my mum said, "Well, not exactly, you know." And then you gradually found out, and I don't have a good feeling about the way that we treat animals, you know, and I'm by no means anti-farming. You know, I think if farming is done humanely, there's a contract between a man and an animal. If the man looks after the animal, then he has perhaps a right to take its milk and in the end to eat its flesh. You know, I can respect that point of view. Personally, I don't like to eat animals, but that's my own feeling. I just feel better not eating them. But I feel in so many areas the human race has got it wrong, because the human race, for some reason, thinks it's the centre of the universe and it's the only race that matters. And I find that completely illogical, and to me it's unethical to give any animal zero value, and that's what this government is doing. You know, if we're getting on to other areas like fox hunting or the badger cull, you know, all these studies are done to estimate the impact of certain things. They compare money that's spent, money's come back. There is no value whatsoever assigned to a wild animal, and I think that's wrong. I think an animal that thinks and breathes, particularly badgers who have a complex family structure the same as we do, you know, that animal is deserving of respect and consideration.
Excellent. Well, it's going to be fantastic to see what happens.
Well, yeah, I'll be long gone by the time this forest comes to maturity. And, you know, hopefully one day, 150 years' time, there will be bluebell woods out there, and I hope people will think that we did the right thing.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. That's wonderful. Thank you.